This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from April 10th to April 12th of 2026. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Now listen, this was a very busy weekend for the Americans abroad in terms of what they did on the field. But during the week, off the field, a lot happened. With our main player, Christian Pulisic. There was some dating drama going on with his ex-girlfriend and himself, dating apps. It was messy. But Pulisic's a smart guy. He's a very smart guy. And without saying a single word, maybe making a few calls here and there, that probably happened, he got out of the situation innocent, clean. And you know what you can learn from this story? A silly man covers his balls when he runs naked. But a wise man covers his face. Okay, but enough of the Pulisic ex-girlfriend drama. Drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Do that right now. Also, a random comment to rig the YouTube algorithm. And that's all. Let's roll the intro and start with the weekend recap. All right, as always, we start with the Americans that play in Italy in the Serie A. The first one being Christian Pulisic, a guy that I kind of already talked about what he was doing or dealing with off the field. But now let's talk about what Pulisic did on the field. And on Saturday, Christian Pulisic started and played 72 minutes for Milan during their 3-0 loss to Udinese. Okay, so a couple things here. This 3-0 loss was terrible. Right? It was at home, and it even puts Milan's Champions League spot at risk. I still think they're going to finish top 4 this season, but it's definitely at risk, especially when you lose to Udinese 3-0 at home. And the team has been abysmal. Now, Pulisic's goal drought continues, as he didn't score, obviously, right? Milan didn't score a goal. He's now on a 16-game scoreless streak for club and country. He has 0 goals, no goals in 2026. But I do want to say one thing. I thought Christian Pulisic was quite good this game. He wasn't perfect or incredible by any means, but he was definitely Milan's best forward, especially in the first half. He had like 1 or 2 good runs, actually 2 good runs that unfortunately the finishing was poor. It wasn't horrible, but he missed a target. And he did set up Rafael Leao very well for an assist. It was a very nice cross. Leao was just kind of clumsy on the play. That could have been an assist, but he didn't get it, and it could have been a goal with one of those 2 finishes where he had a very nice run where he was just kind of blowing by defenders with ease. And as I said, Pulisic was good. He was playing as a left winger, taking on defenders, setting up his teammates, trying to finish, trying to score. Honestly, with a bit of luck in his favor, which he hasn't had that lately, he would have finished this game with a goal and an assist. And I'm not here to make up excuses. He has not been good in 2026, but if he continues to play the way he did this game, he will start to score goals very soon. Now, the other Americans in Italy would have been Weston McKennie and Yunus Musa from Juventus and Atalanta, because Juventus and Atalanta clashed over the weekend. But Weston McKennie didn't play because he was suspended, and Yunus Musa didn't play because he just usually doesn't play. Over the past 4 games, Musa has 14 minutes played, which is, I guess, more than Gio Reyna, but he's basically not playing because Gio Reyna also doesn't play for his club, right? We're going to talk about him very soon. So no minutes for McKennie. He was suspended. Musa, no minutes because maybe he's not good enough. And Ben Kremaski was not available for Parma because he had a season-ending injury. And that's all for the Americans in Italy. Okay, we are done with the Americans that play in Italy, a country that refuses to play World Cups lately. They've been boycotting World Cups left and right. They boycotted 2018 in Russia, they boycotted 2022 in Qatar, and now Italy will boycott the 2026 World Cup in the United States of America. So let's talk now about the Americans that play in England, a country where people prefer tea over coffee. And I have trust issues. I just don't really trust people that prefer tea over coffee. And I like tea, but if you prefer tea over coffee, I don't trust you. So let's talk about the Americans in the Premier League. The first one being Chris Richards from Crystal Palace. And on Sunday, Chris Richards started and played the full 90 minutes for Crystal Palace during their 2-1 win over Newcastle. Now, Richards had another solid performance. He was not at fault for the goal they conceded. He was solid defensively. He was good on the ball, even though he had the least amount of touches out of all center backs for Crystal Palace. He was fine when he had the ball. It was just another good performance from the best American center back right now. Now after Chris Richards, we have Anthony Robinson from Fulham. And on Saturday, A-Rob started and played 69 minutes. Nice. For Fulham during their 2-0 loss to Liverpool. Now I didn't watch this game, so I can't really comment on A-Rob's overall performance. But the second goal that they conceded was mostly on him. He was kind of poorly positioned in the box, marking absolutely no one, which ultimately left Mo Salah wide open, and then A-Rob could not reach him on time or put pressure on the ball on time. Mo Salah scored. So again, I didn't watch the game, so I can't comment on his overall performance, but that specific goal was on A-Rob. But I heard from people that I trust that A-Rob was fine throughout the game. Next up, we have Tyler Adams from Bournemouth, and he's back. And on Saturday, Tyler Adams was back from injury after missing, I think he was out for like a month, okay? But he's back. And he started off the bench. He was subbed in the 70th minute for Bournemouth during their massive 2-1 win over Arsenal. Tyler was solid, he played his role, and he's healthy, which is truly what matters. Also, when he was subbed in, the game was 1-1, and it ended 2-1. So he definitely had a positive impact. Good for him, and good for Bournemouth. But not so good for Arsenal, because it's incredible. They might actually bottle the league once again. This club is truly unreal. If you are an Arsenal fan, which they have a ton, by the way, in the United States, I just feel bad for you. Last but not least, we have Brendan Aronson from Leeds, but they play Manchester United on Monday. We record this on Sunday, so I have nothing to say. Let us know in the comment section down below. How did Brendan Aronson do for Leeds on Monday? And while you do that, make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Let's try to hit 800, 900 likes. We could hit 1,000, but that's just not realistic because a lot of you just forget to do it or just refuse to do it. Okay, time to go to Germany and talk about the Americans in the Bundesliga. The first one being Malik Tillman from Bayer Leverkusen. And on Saturday, Malik Tillman started off the bench and pretty much stayed there the full 90 minutes as he was subbed in the 90th minute during their 1-0 win over Dortmund. So last weekend, Tillman came off the bench right after the US men's national team camp. He scored when he came off the bench. But this weekend, he was on the bench once again. And Leverkusen had no games during the midweek, which means Malik Tillman, he might have actually just gotten benched. Now, before we move on, because I don't have much to talk about, this dude barely played, right? Tillman was subbed in the 90th minute. I want to shout out two players from this specific game between Leverkusen and Dortmund. One being Montrell Kolbreth, the right wing back from Leverkusen. He's a young German-American. He's very likely Germany's to lose. But he's a dual national, so I'm shouting him out because he's been decent to good for Leverkusen, and he's very young still. He's a U20 player. The other one I want to shout out is Mathis Albert, the 16-year-old American winger from Borussia Dortmund, because he made the bench for them this weekend once again. I believe it's the second or third time this season that he makes the bench for them in the Bundesliga. Now, Noah Kai Banks from Augsburg, because it feels like he kind of rejected the United States last camp, I'm not going to cover him until he's committed to the US men's national team. I'm keeping track of him when he plays for Augsburg, but I have no comments on him until we see that he actually wants to play for the US men's national team, okay? As of now, it looks like he wants to play for Germany. We'll find out if he's called up for the World Cup by Pochettino and he rejects it. He wants to play for Germany, but I'm just not going to cover him for now. I just don't see the point. So let's talk about Joe Scally and Gio Reyna from Borussia Mönchengladbach. And on Saturday, Joe Scally started and played the full 90 minutes for Gladbach during their 1-0 loss to Leipzig. And I don't know, man. I saw people saying online that Joe Scally was good. I saw that on X, but 10 minutes into the game, he got beat very easily down his side. He was on the right side, right? He was playing as a right back. And they just got lucky that the play didn't end in a goal for Leipzig. The goalkeeper saved it. Well, the goalkeeper made a lot of saves actually this game because Leipzig was better than Gladbach for the most part. Also, the goal that Diamande scored for Leipzig, that was the goal that won them the game, was with Scally marking him and just kind of not putting any pressure on the ball, allowing Diamande to take like 3 or 4 steps forward and set up his shot and score. I don't know, man. Besides that, Joe Scally was okay. He wasn't great or bad. But I would not call this a decent performance. I guess maybe he could have finished this game with an assist. He did help set up his teammates a few times. But overall, he was kind of just okay. And he had 2 bad moments on defense, in my opinion. One of them, which was the goal that Leipzig scored. So I would say that he was kind of bad. That might be an exaggeration, but to me, that's not a good performance for my standards. Oh, and Gio Reyna didn't play. But you already knew that, right? Because he never plays. What does he have this season? In 2026. He has like 30 minutes. For club, pretty much, he played like 30 minutes. That's it. I'm not going to lie, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but at this point, Gio Reyna might as well go to MLS. Next up, we have the Americans that play in Spain in La Liga. Johnny Cardoso was not available for Atletico Madrid this weekend. He's still injured, but he's back in training, so he should be back and available within the next 7 days. Alex Freeman, he stayed on the bench for Villarreal the full 90 minutes, which is understandable. He arrived mid-season, and I don't think La Liga is a good fit for Alex Freeman's player profile. I think long-term, it's good for him because it'll help him develop his technique, his technical ability, right? But over the long run, ultimately, I think Alex Freeman will be a good player for Ligue 1 if he develops, or the Bundesliga, right? Leagues that are a bit more physical and they play more like on the counterattack rather than slow, possession-based technical teams. But overall, I think this was a good move for Alex Freeman because he will develop. Over the long run, it will be good. But I don't really expect him to break through in La Liga. I think eventually he'll have to get a move. Next up, we have the Americans that play in France in Ligue 1. The first one being Balogun from Monaco. And on Friday, Balogun started and played the full 90 minutes for Monaco during their 4-1 loss to Paris FC. Not PSG, Paris FC. And let me tell you, Monaco's defense was bad. It was terrible. One of the worst I have seen this entire season. We have not seen this level of bad defending in France since World War II. It was abysmal. Monaco was down 3-0 20 minutes into this game. But let's talk about Balogun specifically because who cares about Monaco? And you know what? Balogun did waste a great opportunity when they were already down 3-0, but he made up for it by scoring a goal a few minutes after that. And it was a goal that I like to call the Balogun special. A good through ball, a fast off-the-ball movement from Balogun himself, and then a good finish. He has now scored for Monaco 7 games in a row in Ligue 1, so the French league. If you count the 2 Champions League games versus PSG, Balogun has scored 9 goals in his last 9 games for Monaco. You heard that right. 9 goals in the last 9 games. Now, if I'm Mauricio Pochettino, I would honestly build a USMNT offense around Balogun and not Christian Pulisic. Balogun is right now our biggest threat going forward, so we essentially have to defend well and play with quick transitions, counterattack. If the United States wants to pull any upset in the World Cup, that'll be the way to go. Defend well and quick transitions. Balogun is deadly in transition. He makes the right runs, he's fast, and he finishes those chances. But the players need to feed him. And that's where Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Malik Tillman, Serginho Dest, honestly, even Gio Reyna come in. They have to feed Balogun. We have to utilize him properly in the World Cup if we want to be successful. Otherwise, where will our goals come from against tough opponents? But besides set pieces, right, with McKennie, Chris Richards, where will our goals come from when it comes to open play? Next up, we have Tim Weah from Marseille. And on Friday, Tim Weah started as a right wing back and played the full 90 minutes for Marseille during their 3-1 win over Metz, but not the Mets from New York, the Mets from France. After Tim Weah, we have Mark McKenzie from Toulouse. And on Sunday, McKenzie started and played just 48 minutes for Toulouse during their 4-0 loss to Lille. That's not good. And McKenzie actually got a red card in the 48th minute. That's why he was out so early when the game was still 1-0. It was a foul where he was the last man. He was the last defender, so it made sense that he got a red. The foul itself and the red card was not the problem. I could argue it was even a smart foul because it wasn't even in the box, and very likely it would end in a goal because it was a 1v1 against the goalkeeper. But McKenzie and their right back were very, very poorly positioned when it comes to defending in that play. The line was very high. It was just bad defending by the right back and Mark McKenzie. Like, the red card, I don't blame him as much. Maybe he should not have done that. It would have been better to just go down 2-0. Also, there's no guarantees that the forward would have scored. But the defending prior to the red card was pretty bad. Next up, we have Tanner Tessman from Lyon. And on Sunday, Tessman started off the bench and was subbed in the 82nd minute for Lyon during their 2-0 win over Loriente. And this was a crucial win to keep them in their fight for the Champions League spot. They currently sit in 5th place in Ligue 1, 1 point away from 4th, and 2 points away from 3rd place. Next up, we have the Americans that play in the Eredivisie in the Netherlands, more specifically the ones that play for PSV. Ricardo Pepi and Serginho Dest. You already know, Serginho Dest is still currently injured. He had a muscle injury a few weeks ago, and he's expected, hopefully, to be back in early May. So with that said, let's talk about Ricardo Pepi. And on Saturday, Pepi started and played 82 minutes for PSV during their 2-0 win over Sparta Rotterdam. And Pepi scored for PSV their first goal in the game. He continues to score for them. It was a header from close range, but it wasn't really an easy header by any means. It was actually a very nice finish. And Pepi's numbers this season are quite remarkable, because across all competitions, he has 14 goals and 2 assists. With 1,377 minutes played. That's not a lot. He's averaging almost a goal per 90. The main issue has been injuries. He missed 11 games this season due to injury, and he also has missed a lot of minutes because he was coming back from injury, and then the minutes were limited. He came off the bench. Otherwise, he probably would have scored easily over 20 goals this season. Regardless, he's been great, and he will very likely get a big move this summer. But definitely not to Fulham, because that happened like twice and it collapsed twice. So I'm assuming that's not happening, but Pepi will very likely leave PSV. The question is, where will he go? But I'll tell you where we are going right now. We're going back to England, because now we're going to talk about the Americans in the EFL Championship. The first one being Haji Wright from Coventry. And on Saturday, Haji started and played 67 minutes for Coventry during their 0-0 draw with Sheffield Wednesday. But there's nothing to worry here. Coventry only needs 1 draw in their last 4 games to get promoted to the English Premier League. So that means Haji Wright and Coventry will get promoted directly to the Premier League next season. And after Haji, we have Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough. And on Saturday, Morris started and played the full 90 minutes for Middlesbrough during their 1-0 loss to Portsmouth. Now, Morris was actually good throughout the game. Middlesbrough was much better, but you got to score to win, and they didn't score. And what happened was, during added time, they got punished by Portsmouth scoring a goal. This is a bad loss in terms of getting promoted. They are comfortable when it comes to making it to the EFL Championship playoffs, but they wanted to finish in second, because then they would get promoted directly to the English Premier League. But right now, they are 3 points away from Ipswich, that sits in second place. But Ipswich still has 6 games to play, while Middlesbrough has only 4. What's my point here? Middlesbrough is not going to get second place. Now, last but not least would have been Agyemang, and jokes aside, you guys know I joke a lot about Agyemang here and there, how clumsy he is and how I hate watch him. But he had a season-ending injury. It was an Achilles injury. He's out for like 9 to 12 months. And that sucks, because we've seen this happen with Daryl Dike, where he tore his Achilles and he was never the same after. So I am wishing Agyemang, truly, I am wishing him a speedy recovery. It's unfortunate that this happened, but that's how the sport is. It's cruel. And it kind of sucks, because I'm going to admit one thing here about Agyemang. I don't think he was having this incredible season in the championship like some people were trying to push, but he was in the championship much better than I expected. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. I'm not going to do the player of the weekend this time, because I didn't see any outstanding performances. Maybe like Balogun, because he scored a goal, but Monaco got destroyed. Pepi scored a header. Besides that, he didn't do much throughout the game. He was okay. I don't know who I would actually give a player of the weekend performance. You can let me know in the comment section. And that's all for today. Drop a like in this video. We have a very interesting video coming later this week about a USMNT prospect that could be in the World Cup, so you're not going to want to miss out on that. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.